NFL season's finally here, and with it comes the opportunity to turn your love of sports into cold hard cash if you know what cards to buy. In today's video, we're going to look at 5 cards you should be buying now to sell later. But first, here's your intro. Alright guys, so here's the little plot twist. We are going to look at 5 cards today, but today we're going to look at 5 cards of NBA sleepers. You're probably thinking, whoa, I just got clickbaited real hard. Listen, the way it works is you buy stuff when nobody's talking about the player. Everybody's excited about the NFL season, so we're going to talk about basketball today. Is it clickbaity? Maybe. But I am trying to do what is going to make the most money for myself and pass that advice on to you. After all, this video is completely dedicated to talking about people nobody else is talking about right now, so it's just inherently designed to fail on YouTube. We got to do something to give it a lift. Anyways, let's dive into 5 NBA players that I'm watching right now. Real quick break in the action though before we get going. I do want to point out that the vast majority of the people who watch our videos don't actually subscribe, so if you could just do me a quick favor and hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and then if you want to ring that notification bell so you never miss another one of our videos, that would help us continue to make free content for you guys. We totally appreciate it. Quickly before we dive in, I do want to emphasize my point. If you wanted to buy football cards and just make money across the board, that time has probably already passed. Looking at this 1-year chart, you can see just the annual swell is not necessarily what you'd expect. Cards become more valuable before the season starts and in the very first couple weeks. While it might seem intuitive to sell during the playoffs, that's not actually what the numbers bear out. Only a select few players really see a playoff boost. The market as a whole, though, is going to be down. On the other hand, the basketball market is real down right now because it's like sleepy off season, but we're going to start seeing a spike as we get closer to the season. So who should we be watching? If you go to cardlines.com and type in SGA's name, you'll probably see 1,000 articles from me from about 3 years ago talking about how good he was and why you should buy his cards. I was a very early adopter on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. His first year with the Thunder, I was like, this guy really has it. I'm trying to replicate that here. There's 3 things that make investments really attractive here. You want to get somebody who's gonna be the best player on their team, somebody who's young, and somebody on a team who might not be good now, but they're going to be good at some point because they have quite a bit of talent around them. That was the recipe for SGA, and now it's turned into this perennial MVP contender kind of guy. So who are guys that can be like that now, or at least fit 2 of those 3 categories? The first one that's fairly obvious is Cade Cunningham. He's the #1 overall pick, and he just didn't play a whole lot last year because of an injury. He has a lot of skills, and the Pistons have a pretty deep roster. I'm from Oklahoma. I watched Cade when he was at Oklahoma State, and I was always very impressed with the way he sees the floor. I don't think he's ever going to be the scorer that SGA is, or some of his peers, but I do think he has what it takes to be the best player on a Detroit team that don't look now, but they actually have quite a bit of talent, and they could do something. I still think they're a couple years out, but maybe this year they're a 500 team. Maybe next year they're a scary team. If you're buying Cade, a good card to look at is his Silver Prism in a PSA 10. It is down quite a bit. They're selling for around $230, $250 when they have been valued at $500 to even $900 in the past. This is a good one that's really in free fall right now. Next up, Josh Giddey. Giddey's a little bit different. I don't ever think he's going to be like an all-NBA kind of guy, but I do think he could average 20 to 25 points on the Chicago Bulls next year. He's shown flashes when he was in Oklahoma City that he has what it takes to be a scorer. Just Oklahoma City's really deep. He's going to be on a team now that in some ways is going to be built around him, and I do think that he is going to flourish. He also just plays in a very big market now. Chicago Bulls have a lot of fans, and they're going to be buying his cards just because of that hometown connection. It also helps that his cards are down over 91% since they first came out, so if you're buying Josh Giddey cards, now is another good time for that. There's no more legal issues, so he has a pretty clean slate and should be good to go moving forward. Guys, we actually have a sponsor for today's video, so I'm going to interrupt for just a minute to point out that our very own Card Lines Breaks is sponsoring this video. Okay, it's kind of an inside job, but every Tuesday and Thursday we are breaking cards. All you have to do is go to cardlines.com/breaks. You can click on eBay, you can pick the team that you want, you buy your spot, and then you join the Card Lines team in breaking cards. We've hit some really nice cards, and we try to pick value boxes. Boxes that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg to break, but have a pretty high ceiling of potential. be sure to visit Cardlines Breaks on eBay and save them as one of your favorite sellers. The next one I'm cheating a bit because we've already seen what it can look like when he's an MVP contender. It's obviously Ja Morant. Morant's cards are down 64% over the last 2 years, not because of drop-off in talent, but because he's made some really bad decisions. Betting on Ja feels risky because there was a year where it seemed like every time that you thought he was going to get it together, he did something else dumb. And it kind of felt to me very parallel to like Antonio Brown and his fallout of the NFL. That said, it seems like Ja is now in a pretty good place and moving in the right direction, and he definitely has the on-field talent, or on-court talent. See, I'm stuck in NFL mode too. And if we zoom out to the all-time, look at how high his cards have peaked. Looking at his cards in particular, the Silver Prism, it sold for north of $4,000 at one point. Right now you can pick one up for around $500. That is a huge ROI potential. This is the kind of guy that could win MVP. We've nearly seen it before, and if he comes back and plays clean and the Grizzlies look fun, young, and exciting again, his cards are going to soar. Next up is Trae Young. Okay, disclaimer, he's very frustrating. He gets bullied on defense. He's so little. His game is just kind of annoying to most basketball purists, but he is flashy, he puts up crazy stats, and he has an audience that really likes what he does. And it does seem like he's getting older, wiser, and more mature in the league and in his game. Full disclosure, we played in high school and I've never liked his game. I just thought he was a pretty solid dude. Luka and Trae have always been compared really close with each other since they were drafted and basically done in a pick swap. But now Luka cards are on the rise and Trae's cards are down 72% over the last 2 years. If you're buying his cards, it would not be a bad time. And then finally, one of my favorites who doesn't actually have a profile on Card Ladder right yet, Alperen Sengun. I think Sengun is so fun to watch, and he has shades of like Jokic 2.0. He's more athletic though. He definitely is. He sees the floor great, and he can be a focal point on a team that's pretty deep. A lot of people are talking about Jabari Smith Jr. as a breakout candidate for next year. Amen Thompson showed some flashes, but Sengun's their best player, at least the focal point of the offense, and I could see a world where people start to rally around him like they did with Jokic. For the longest time, Jokic was putting up incredible stats and even won a first MVP, and his cards were still not that valuable because people are like, he's a center. Turns out people want his cards now. People are talking about him like he is a all-timer. I don't disagree, I'm just trying to assess the market. Sengun is a baby. He's 22 years old on a very talented team, and he can be a monster moving forward. That's all I got. I hope this video helped. Let me know below who you're looking at buying during this NBA offseason, and good luck watching some NFL games. I'm going to be tuning in and looking forward to that too.